All right, our next guest literally went from shoveling shit on a farm to Cinderella and dancing in the desert. Before you know it, she's shopping Rodeo Drive and she's the hottest girl in town. If you had a heartbeat in the 90s, you know that zip code 90210, our next guest, the great Jennie Garth. What's going on, Jennie?
Hi, I love that intro. From shoveling shit to Beverly Hills. Wow.
Yeah, what a ride you've been on. It's amazing.
What a life.
Yes, and congrats on the new clothing line called Me, which I really am digging it.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, it's interesting, you turn 50 and you wonder what is next for you in life. And I wasn't sure, so I was really sort of searching. And I got the opportunity to do my own podcast. So with that, I really wanted to focus on spreading positivity and empowering messages to women and men everywhere. So that's the whole point of the I Choose Me podcast. And now the fashion brand is under the same umbrella. It's called Me, and it is that same message, intertwined to every fabric because it's been such an important thing for me and a labor of love and growth, and it's coming out, and we're so excited.
Yeah, the line called Me after the famous line when Kelly was choosing, or Jennie, I should say, is choosing, who is it going to be? Is it going to be Dylan? Is it going to be Brandon? And in the show, you famously say, I choose me. And you've said, I've heard you say this, that's kind of a North Star for you, that line. Can you explain that?
Yeah, I didn't realize as a young girl back in the 90s the true meaning of that line. And I didn't really think about it all that much until I started meeting fans, women that had grown up with the show, and they would bring it up to me and they would say, oh, that line, I choose me, and tell me their stories. And it really started to sort of resonate with me and remind me of the power of that line that my friend Jessica Klein wrote, and embrace it, and move forward with it. Jessica's no longer with us, and just continuing her words forward and the massive, positive message behind it has become sort of my purpose now with everything that I do.
And fashion, I know you're involved now. You can go to JennieGarth.com and check out this new line called Me, also her podcast on iHeart called I Choose Me. But I know fashion in that show, 90210, was such a big deal. I was in middle school at the time. We wanted to dress just like Dylan or act like Jason Priestley. Did you ever take anything home from wardrobe, or did you have much to say about what you wore on the show?
Oh, I was not that savvy back then to take things home. I wish I had been. I do have one coveted pair of Kelly's cowboy boots that she used to wear with, baby doll dresses. So I have those in my closet, so I'm very happy about that.
What about any red dresses in the line? I know there was a big story around a red dress and a photo shoot. Will there be any red dresses in the Me line?
You know what? You just inspired me with a new concept. I'm going to do that in year 2.
I can't believe you don't have a red dress, so that's good. I mean, maybe you need to have me on the board here, Jennie. I could help you out.
I'm not opposed to it.
Well, it had to be overwhelming for you. I know it probably seems like to us in middle school we were watching you and you were a big star and living that glamorous life, but I hear things weren't so much in Van Nuys where you guys were filming, and there had to be a lot of pressure. I mean, the judgment, the cattiness from the other girls. How much pressure did you feel to be the cutest girl in Beverly Hills? Did you ever have a zit that really stressed you out? Because that had to be stressful to look so good every week on TV.
Oh, that was a lot of pressure, especially as a teenager. Yeah, it was just kind of one of those things where you had to just stay in your moment and not worry about the whole world judging you. But we did set some trends, and we took our responsibilities very seriously back then to, provide people a glimpse of what it was like into that glamorous life. Was there ever a time during the filming of that show, 10 years on the air, the entire 90s, where you felt like the script for your character, Kelly Taylor, that maybe your connection to the character felt one way, but the writers were writing the character another way? Did you ever question the script in those 10 years? Yes, I think from the get-go, Kelly was designed to be sort of like the snob, you know what from Beverly Hills, very shallow. And I really worked hard with the producers and the writers to bring some more to the character. And she really did evolve over those 10 years into somebody you want to be friends with. And I think that had to do a lot with just my own personality sort of eking over into the character, and vice versa. You know, Kelly gave me a lot of strength that I might not have ever gained at that age, just from her personality traits. So there were definitely times when we talked about where the character was going and what we wanted from her. And there were differences of opinion occasionally, and it's all about just kind of talking it out and working it through. And I think we came to a pretty good understanding with each other, and it turned out well.
There was a reboot of the show, correct? Like 5-6 years ago, it only was one season. You were a part of that, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was in 2018. My partner, Tori Spelling, and I created BH90210 and took it in and convinced everybody to sort of do a meta version of the telling of that reboot. So we wanted to go a little bit more Larry David with it, and we had a really great time convincing everybody that was a good idea. And once everybody was on board, the cast loved it, and we had so much fun doing it and being back together, of course, minus Luke. But he was there with us in spirit. And it's been great to always stay connected to that core family that we developed back in the 90s. We're all still, we love each other and support each other and get ourselves through good times and bad together.
And if you're predicting the script, as to what happens to Kelly Taylor in the reboot, do we find out? Does she have kids? Does she start doing drugs? I'm sorry, I missed the reboot. But what happens to Kelly Taylor if you're writing out the rest of the script in her life? Where is she now in her 50s?
She is. I gotta say, we're one and the same now. She's where I'm at. She's at 50, asking herself the questions: what do I want to do next? And she's developing her own fashion line. It's very on brand with Kelly.
Well, make sure you go to JennieGarth.com and check out this new fashion line. Also, you get very intimate in your podcast on iHeartRadio, I Choose Me, and new episodes. You came out with a recent episode where you addressed what happened with Shannon, which my condolences to the whole 90210 family. I know everybody was very close, and there was a lot of drama, and you gave a really nice, heartfelt tribute to her on your podcast, and I recommend everybody go and listen to that. I'm interested to hear about the love and kissing scenes, because you were awfully young and there are these handsome men around you. And there was one scene in particular where you talk about in your book where you, I believe, sprayed Luke Perry with some Bianca in his eye or something, some spray, and you caused quite a problem. But then later you guys were making out. Were you uncomfortable having to make out on camera? Did it come natural? And what happened with you spraying Luke in the eye with some Bianca?
It was Banaka.
Oh, Banaka. I thought I remember that stuff. It was very powerful.
Yeah, it was the kissing spray, we called it. Definitely had that on hand at all times because there were quite a number of kisses from all the characters left and right. Everybody was kissing everybody. It was the 90s. So, yeah, that was, Luke and I love each other to our cores, and we would just like to harass each other sometimes, be a little devilish, and I got a little carried away that day. So I tried to spray it in his mouth, and I missed, and it hit his eyes. And he was mad, and the producers were mad, but we ended up filming the scene later that day, so it all worked out.
So you made out in the end, which is very nice. I have some quick fire questions that I'm going to ask. We had a lot of big 90210 fans out there, including myself, that maybe you can clear up some behind-the-scenes stuff, but these will be quick. You just tell me who on the set would fill this particular role, but who on the set would make you laugh the most? Who was the funniest?
Ian Ziering, for sure.
And then who's the best dancer? I know you got your start doing some dance moves, but if it came down to it and you guys had to break out and dance, who had the best rhythm?
I think that would be a two for probably Brian Green and myself.
Very nice. You guys would make a nice tango, which, by the way, you were on Dancing with the Stars, so you can dance. I know that, Jenny. What about...
Yeah, Yep, I thought I'd be a dancer in my life, but it went a different direction.
Well, this question's a little in a different direction, but it's fun. What about the person most likely to like rip a big one, bust some gas out on the set, maybe stink up things there in Van Nuys? Who was that?
Luke.
Luke.
Definitely.
Luke would drop a bomb on you. Okay, what about the homebody? I have a feeling I know who this is, but it was hard to get them to go out during those 90s days. Who was always staying home?
Honestly, it was me. I was either in a fresh new marriage or I was pregnant with a baby. I wanted to stay home. I've always been a homebody, so me.
And then what about who had the best fashion sense? Who did you turn to say, wow, this person really knows how to look great on camera or even when you're out?
I think I always admired Shannon's sense of fashion from the very beginning. She always had great style.
And who do you think was the best actor? When it came time, action, the director says action, you knew this person was going to be on their game at all times. Who led the way when it came to being just a pure actor?
Gosh, everybody in our cast ended up being such professionals. Imagine such a young age being, holding all that responsibility every day with a whole crew of people depending on you. I would have to share that glory with everybody, absolutely. But definitely Jason was probably one of the founders of establishing that sort of strong work ethic in everyone.
And then I know that you grew up on the farm, but of course, like we said, you were cruising down Pacific Coast Highway before you know it. But are you a little more country, a little more rock and roll, or are you the 90s hip hop was big? If you had a playlist in Jennie Garth's car, is it more country, rock and roll, or hip hop, you think, or something else?
Oh my gosh, I am a lover of all music, so it would be a very confusing mix of country and contemporary and, music that just soothes your soul.
Well, the teen angel has returned with a new clothing line. You can follow her on Instagram at Jennie Garth. You can also check out the clothing line at jenniegarth.com. And thank you for your time today. And also thank you for everything you did for the American Heart Association. My dad had a heart transplant and open heart surgery similar to your dad. So, I just want to thank you. You really stepped up for the American Heart Association. So good job by you.
Thank you. Yeah, it's very important to me.
And I'll leave you with this. Do blondes have more fun? Do they actually?
I think so. I do.
I believe so too. Jennie, you're a lot of fun. Thanks for coming on the show, and I look forward to seeing that red outfit, the red dress on the Jennie Garth line.
You'll know when you see it that it's your idea.
I'll be looking for that red dress on QVC at the end of this month. Her new line called Me. It is inspired by her 90210 famous line, I Choose Me, and you can listen to the I Choose Me podcast wherever you get your podcasts. And thank you for listening to this podcast. Make sure you like and subscribe to my Backstage Pass. I also have another show called The Outcast Podcast and Dem Vinyl Boys. I'll leave you with this 90s groove from the theme from the first 3 seasons of 90210. Thanks for listening.